Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see in this thumbnail, you guys can get yourself a soulstone 100% free and easily, right? It might say easy in the thumbnail, but this was anything but easy for me. It took me literally hours of grinding over and over to try and beat this particular stage. So I wanted to show you guys today how I beat stage 10 of Gear Dungeon 2 in order to get myself the unpolished legendary soulstone achievement, right? Because that's a huge resource to have on any account, obviously. So Gear Dungeon 2, what do we have going on? Well, we have basically an enemy who's going to spawn up here, do a bunch of AoE damage, right? So the Blood Mistress, we're going to have enemies coming down here, some of which will be a Tormented Banshee. So you're going to have 3 waves of Banshees that are coming from the bottom, who will stop here when you block them and do big AoE damage to you. So there's a couple ways you can deal with them, which will be like pushback effects, essentially. And then you're also going to have some enemies up here. You have Volca clones, essentially, who are either going to need you to do magic or physical DPS. So you'll need to do one or the other, essentially, continuously there. So we're going to be walking through this now. In terms of my particular team, here is what I used. So I used, let me move myself a little bit so you can see it properly here. Now, there are substitutions for every single one of these units, and I will cover the substitutions as well. I do want to make this a fairly quick video to really just kind of help walk you guys through this. I'm going to do it with Power of Dominance on, mainly for my own sanity, but also because the timings and everything like that are the same, right? It may just take a little bit longer for you to kill the enemy waves, but the timings and everything like that are going to be the same. So these are the heroes. We'll talk through the builds and everything like that as well. First of all, we have Barut, who I built specifically for this stage. Now, if you don't have Barut, there's another few options that would work. So Edith, if you have her as a legendary. Valara also has pushback. We just had this guy introduced to the game, Kane, so he's another decent unit that has some pushback as well. Anybody who's really going to be able to push them back is what you're looking for. They don't even have to really be able to do damage, because Volca will be taking care of that. In terms of the build for Barut, I'm not going to go through the gear pieces or anything, but this is kind of what we're rocking right here. Next up, we have Eloin. If you don't have Eloin, that's perfectly fine. You can use Hollow, you can use Airless. Just, you know, keep in mind that you'll probably have a bit of a harder time doing it with a single target healer versus an AoE healer, obviously. These are her stats. This is her artifact. On to the next hero. Hex is a fantastic option. If you don't have Hex, any sort of a magic DPS platform unit would technically work. Or, you know, potentially you could end up using your Numera over there. So in this particular team composition, Numera doesn't actually get used all that much. So you could use Numera for his role as well. Basically just any sort of a magic DPS, like I mentioned, is what you're looking for. And these are the stats and his artifact. Numera, again, you know, she's not incredibly important. These are the stats. This is the artifact. When it comes to fighters, any sort of a magic damage dealing fighter is going to work. So if you take a look over here at skills, you'll be able to see what kind of damage dealer they are. So technically a Valkyria would work. Technically, I'm trying to think. So technically a Lord Phineas could work as well. Xena could work. You have options, right? Helga is another potential big one. She does a lot of stunning. She does magic DPS. You know, you get the idea. It's going to be those. Zilla 2, if you have a crazy build on her, could work as well. There's a lot of options out there. And Celine, if you're like really, really desperate for a magic DPS, I guess. Valara, again, she's not mandatory. There are replacements, kind of the same ones I just mentioned. Any sort of a magic DPS. There's her build. There's her artifact. Torador, you could replace him with a Wrath or a Ysolde if you are going to be doing a bit more of like a Northerner team. You don't necessarily need him. He is very nice for the stuns, though. He is inside a morale set as well, so everybody else does 4% bonus damage. And he does have a Bastion Ring. Moradin, most people should have. He was guaranteed. He's not awakened or anything like that. These are his stats. This is his artifact. If you don't have him, use any sort of a DPS unit that's doing physical damage. So technically a Sun Wukong, a Kagiri could work, I believe. He's physical, right? I forget, sometimes he is. So Kagiri could technically work, though it's going to be hard to activate his ultimate. Ardea is also good for it. Any sort of an option like that. Volca, this is her build. This is her artifact, right? Pretty simple. Volca doesn't really have a replacement. You're going to need Volca for this. Though that being said, if you're somehow trying to beat Gear Dungeon 2 Stage 10 without a Volca, I don't know what you're doing, man. Like, go finish your quests. This is such late game content. So I do have my Hatsuit currently in her exclusive, but you're actually going to want her in a Ichor Chalice. I can't really change it right now because I'm farming Gear Raid 3. But Ichor Chalice is the way to go instead of her exclusive, so I don't know how that's going to affect the run with Power of Dominance, but we're about to find out. It's actually probably going to affect it quite badly, so I may have to stop my run in Gear Raid 3 and change it over. So there you go. I'll actually go ahead and do that. So let me stop the run here. Interesting Ancient there. Let's go ahead and go to our Hatsuit. Hatsuit obviously benefits a lot from the Torador Lord bonus as well, so that's kind of another big reason why he's in here. Now we'll throw this Ichor Chalice on her, I guess. Realistically, I need more Ichor Chalices, especially ones that are maxed out. Bear with me 1 second while I get my Stage 22 of Gear Raid 3 running once again, because I'm trying to place a little bit higher on this tournament, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to go back here to Gear Dungeon. Stage 10, like I said, I'm going to do this with Power of Dominance on. The timings and everything like that are exactly the same. Not quite, right? It's going to depend a little bit when you're taking units off and all that sort of good stuff. So we're going to start by placing Volca facing right in this bottom position. Now, let me actually go ahead and move myself to like an optimal position here. So probably somewhere like this will be best, I would think, right? Then what you're going to do is you're going to place your Elowen or whatever healer. If you're using Elowen, I like putting her in this spot. Doesn't have to be though, and then Barut goes here facing right. Now, for the next placement, you have one of two options. You can place Moradin over here, or you can place Hatsuit up here. Personally, I like to do Hatsuit up here. She spawns invisible anyway, so it is what it is. Now, these are the Tormented Banshees coming through. On the bottom lane, when I was running through this, I did not find myself needing to pop ultimates at all. So what's going to happen is essentially Volca's going to be doing big damage. As you can see, some pretty decent pops there. As soon as you can, I'm a little bit late, but you want to place Moradin there as well, by the way. Facing up, of course. Anytime you can, pop down the Wood Elf, immediately recover it if you're using Elowen, because she is going to give you rage regen that way. Sorry, cost regen, not rage regen. So you can see Barut popped his ultimate. He pushed back the Banshee. And then there we go. As soon as you can, place Torador here facing up. Now, there are like many ways to butcher a pig, or whatever the saying is, right? So this method that I'm showing you is just how I happen to beat it, but there certainly are other strategies that work perfectly fine, so that's something to consider. Again, on the bottom lane, we don't actually need any sort of ultimates being popped there. As soon as those enemies get in range, I like to pop both my Moradin as well as my Torador. Now, for this particular area, this is a bit of an interesting timing, and the strategy that I found that worked best. So obviously, as you can see, Hatsuit is healing this boss because she's doing physical. When it gets hit with physical, it heals. So what I like to do is I wait until this first wave comes out, right? And then as soon as they come out and I can do damage to them, I pop Hatsuit, who's going to do a big AoE damage to the wave behind her. Then once her ultimate is done, then I pop Numera, who's going to go through and clap that boss. Now, again, if you're not doing this with Power of Dominance on, the timings are going to be significantly different in terms of when you can pull Numera off, but the end strategy is still going to be the same. So as soon as Numera kills that enemy, you're going to go ahead and pull her off. Now, she was able to kill the enemy every time with the particular stats that I have her built on, but there is, again, a little bit of RNG with, Hatsuit doing damage to that enemy versus, Numera, right? But as soon as Numera kills them, pull them off, let Hatsuit go back to doing her thing. Now, additionally, it is crucial that you have Hatsuit built inside an Ichor Chalice if she's going to be in this position, because for my strategy, the only units that we're cycling are going to be Hex and then either Numera or Valara, depending on who your damage dealing magic damage dealer is, right? So we essentially at some points need magic damage over here, and then magic damage over here as well. So those are the only units getting cycled. I've seen a lot of strategies where people are cycling Moradin, a lot of strategies where people are cycling Hatsuit. I could not get it to work with those particular strategies. Maybe I'm just not smart enough, right? This was the strategy that worked for me. So super important that Hatsuit is in Ichor Chalice, because if not, as soon as this annoying little archer dude comes out, he's going to absolutely divide her cheeks, right? He's going to clap her. So This particular red Volca is going to require magic damage. Now, in the actual run, as soon as the Bloodbath goes out, that's when you place your Hex facing left in this position. Now, again, this was the way that I found to make it work best, right? A lot of people also place Hex here facing right to take out the magic damage dealer there instead of Numera. It'll work, but this was just my preference, essentially. As soon as you can, go ahead and pop your Hex. At this point, you can start to use your Wood Elf for heals, because you should have enough cost that you don't actually need him to rage regen, or to cost regen. I keep mixing up rage and cost regen, unfortunately. Now, the thing to consider with this strategy is obviously the gear on your magic DPS units has to be a little bit stronger, right? Because you're also having physical damage coming in from the other units, which is going to kind of just affect the time to kill, right? So let's say my Hex is hitting the enemy for, like, 10% of their max HP. He'll get through them in 10 hits, right? But if I have a Moradin in there who's also hitting them for 5% of their max HP and healing them, it's now going to take Hex a hell of a lot more hits. More math than I can do, but it's going to take them a lot more hits to get through them. So that's something to consider. If you find yourself really struggling to get through, like, the magic targets, you can certainly try to bring in a different unit to do it as well, right? Like, so you can recall Moradin, you can put in Numera at that slot if you need to, all that sort of good stuff. Now, you could also pop your Hatsuit here if you want, right? It's not incredibly important. Really just depends on if you need these guys down low to die or not. Since we have all of them coming in, I am probably going to pop my Volca here as well. Now, obviously, we do have the magic boss coming in, so we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to pop the Volca. So now we have Numera coming in there. We're going to pop Moradin and our Torador as well, because we have the physical DPS weakness on the top. Now, again, same kind of strategy here. We're going to wait. We're going to pop Hatsuit. And then once Hatsuit's ultimate has subsided, that is when we're going to pop Numera and take out the boss. Pretty simple stuff. Recall Numera. Again, you're not going to be able to instantly do this without Power of Dominance. The extra 30% stats are absolutely insane for getting through this content, but essentially just as soon as your Numera kills the boss there, that's when you recall them. Now, at this point, we do have the Banshee coming in, so if you're really struggling with this, what you can do as well is you can actually deploy your Valara down here to get her pushback effect. Most times, I'm able to do it pretty easily without popping Valara, though. So, again, if you're struggling to do it and you can't, get the kill here, it's fine, right? Like, just use a strategy that works for you. Now, it is very important that you get the kill quickly, because if you don't get it quickly enough, what's going to happen is these enemies are going to come down and start pushing you, and then when Barut pops his ultimate, it's going to go to one of them instead of the enemy that you need it to go to. Now, I was talking too much and I missed my Hex deployment, so that could potentially be a problem. Another thing to call out about these enemies is that if you don't kill them within 60 seconds, the Volca clones specifically, they're actually going to do big damage to you. So they're going to do damage equal to, like, 5 billion. Essentially, they're going to do massive AoE damage to you. So hopefully, I don't have to deal with that here. Hex does take her out, luckily, which is nice. So go ahead and recall. Now, we are pretty much just down to the last waves here. So, it is what it is. We have, I believe, one more Volca clone to deal with, maybe. Actually, no, sorry. I don't think we will. Because, yeah, we're just focusing on the bottom there. So you can also go ahead and place your Valara down here now to help you out a little bit with the enemies that are coming on the bottom if you need it. Realistically, as soon as everybody is dead on other parts of the field, you can start recalling units as well. Get them down here if you need, like, an additional defender or something like that. If your Barut's not tanky enough and you need to switch him out for somebody, that would work perfectly fine. Now, if you don't have Torador, and you can't run Torador in a morale set, but you want to get that extra damage, your Brut is a fantastic option to potentially switch out with him in the morale set as well. In terms of the stats, this is the damage everybody's doing. As you can see, Volca is incredible for the bottom lane. I made a video on Volca not all that long ago, and why I think she is actually one of the best units in the entire game, and I definitely stand by that. She is a fantastic, fantastic unit. So again, these are her stats. She is instrumental to this strategy. The stats are pretty crazy, obviously, but as I always say, I'm 100% free to play. If I can do this, you can certainly do it as well. There is a Discord Link down in the description if you guys want to get in on that. And additionally, make sure to go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube. We are so close to 3,000 subscribers, and it means the world, the support that you guys are giving. So thank you so much. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.